Just keep an eye on the fact the labour market is exceptionally strong, and that is a big source of support for the housing market. There's also a backlog of buyers who stood back. Now maybe they will start to come forward. Maybe some of them are going to wait to spring, personally, I think there. Well, hello again. A lot of people at the moment, and maybe epidemiologists as well, are learning that it's all well and good having models to predict where things might go, but the numbers don't always turn out as you expect. Models are simply very good ways of thinking about the main factors which are involved. And especially in the field of economics, much as people are always looking to us economists to give precise forecasts, we know they're going to be wrong. It's simply a matter of how wrong will they be, what will the direction be, and how soon can you pick that the forecasts are going astray. Now, when it comes to the housing market, nobody has got a model for predicting where house prices will go. And what I try to do is give yourselves a broad idea about the underlying trends and maybe what phase we are at some concept of a cycle. If we go back to the ending of the global financial crisis back 2009, 2010, we saw a couple of years after that the Auckland housing market take off strongly with about 3 years lag. We saw the rest of the country join in. In 2016, at the end of the year, Auckland peaked out and then sat still for about 3 years while the rest of the country chugged along. Over 2019, the end of that year, with interest rates being cut, Auckland's market got reignited, the rest of the country got a new burst of life, and then we entered into 4 phases over this past 2 years. The first phase was the drop in house prices, about 3% or so, over the April and May period of 2020, the first nationwide lockdown. The second phase was concentrated between August and February. We could start it a little bit earlier in 2020 if you want. The frenzy, when FOMO was huge. Everybody was trying to buy properties. Prices were rising very, very strongly. And basically, like I say, the frenzy period. Third phase in the past 2 years started in sort of March, but definitely, sort of February, but definitely March, with the LVRs returning, and then the investor tax changes announced by the government on March 23 of last year. The investors stood back from the market. The first home buyers, they jumped in. Now we are into, I guess, the fourth phase of this past 2 years, where the investor buyers, they're still standing back. Now the first home buyers are also standing back because of the Credit Contracts and Consumer Finance Act, the strengthened LVRs, the DTIs, etc. And where we stand now is that the boom in the housing market has ended. The cycle now is a phase of flattening out with maybe some price declines here and there. And I've done the exercise before, but for your own guide, don't try and think in terms of exact models. Just keep an eye on the broad factors which are in play, which lead me to say it's sort of a flattening. Price is not necessarily going anywhere too far in the next wee while. And so quickly, those main factors would be on the negative side, interest rates going up, net negative migration flows, the triple CFA, LVRs and debt to income ratios as well, a big surge in new house supply. Pretty soon we're going to be reallocating money to travelling overseas. Also, the investors, as time goes by, more will realise the impact on their cash flows of the tax changes. But on the positive side, just keep an eye on the fact the labour market is exceptionally strong, and that is a big source of support for the housing market. There's also a backlog of buyers who stood back. Now maybe they will start to come forward. Maybe some of them are going to wait to spring, personally, I think there. Right at the moment, first home buyers are cutting back spending. They're going to do that for 3 or 4 months, then go to the bank and prove they can cut back spending. So that's sort of the phase we're in at the moment. And we shouldn't forget some migrants getting their residency visas. Maybe they'll do some buying later in the year as well. Overall, it's still very much for this year. I think my comment is going to be the market is flattening out, a few falls here and there, and everything maybe getting a bit better balanced out there. All the best.